AI didn't arrive slowly. It showed up all at once. And for roofing and home services business, it didn't start with strategy or leadership. It started with behavior. Your employees are already using AI. Your competitors are already using AI. Most owners just haven't caught up yet. And that's where the real risk is. Not that AI replaces people, but that AI gets adopted without direction, without standards, and without leadership. So before we talk about systems or tools, we need to get grounded in reality. What AI actually looks like inside of a business today and why leaders need to pay attention now.
Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business.
My name is Jim Aline. I'm the host of the Roofing Success Podcast, and I'm here with Rosalynn Verges, the founder of the AI Roofing Revolution.
We're here.
We are
made it.
here. That's right. So I want to start off with kind of talking about what AI really means for the roofing industry and the changes that are coming into the home services sector also. Some of the things that are shiny object, buzzwords, things like that. Like how has AI entered the roofing and home services businesses?
Yeah, it's been really interesting, Jim. Like you said, with just general use of tools like LLMs, I think it was just recently reported that ChatGPT now has over 800 million users actively using ChatGPT on a weekly basis. And just in case, big numbers are hard for you to contextualize, the US population has about 340 million people. So, quite a lot of people using tools like ChatGPT right now. And when you start to think about this idea that LLMs have become as synonymous with our interpersonal lives as our phones, as our computers, we really as organizations should be paying attention to the fact that our employees are obviously bringing these tools into our organization, whether we're teaching them how to or not. So I think just right out of the gate, even in its most simple form, or maybe what I would say is the most common form, right? Like when I often ask people when we're going through our classes, when I say AI, what does that mean to you, right? And a lot of times I hear back a response like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, right? And so I think for people, their foundational understanding of what AI is a tool like an LLM, a large language model. And so think about like an AI chatbot, so to speak, that you're interacting with and getting answers from. And so just that, like starting at that scale of an AI tool, it's already becoming part of our everyday lives. Even Google search now has transformed to have an AI model in there that's generating summaries for you. And so I think there's just like this basic adoption of some of the simplest tools that we're going to see in organizations. We're seeing it right now. And as owners and leaders, if you're not thinking about then how to lead your employees through that shift in how they're performing their work, they're just going to be making choices on their own. And maybe they'll be good. Maybe they won't be so good.
It could go either way.
It could go either way. Jim, let me ask you, typically when you see businesses just let people run to their own devices, does it usually...
It doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out. Maybe that's why we coach. So that's like the basics, right? But then there's a ton of different AI tools that are coming into play that I see being integrated. And so there are external tools that you could think about that are kind of like add-ons, like, hey, I want to have a voice agent. That's one that I see really coming into AI as a great tool for the roofing and home services industry to pick up as maybe one of their first AI ads.
Maybe answer their phone.
To maybe help with some of those overflow calls or even calls that are happening during the regular day and just being able to triage those, right? So that I would think about as like an AI tool that you're adding on to your tech stack, right? But then there are AI tools within the tech stacks that we already have. So for example, your CRM, if you think about maybe you're using Salesforce or some other tool, those softwares are working really hard to have kind of their own AI version within the software so that
And every software company right now is going down that route. I know Jobnim has hired a chief AI officer recently.
Yeah.
Right. Like everyone is going that route, and all of the software that people are going to be using from here on out is going to have an AI integration into it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, hair salons are going to have an AI integration. Yeah. You name it, any type of software. I think that's just a very logical next step. And they want to be part of that forward thinking and future proofing for their businesses too. And so they're looking at how they can be adopting AI and making it accessible for people. So I'm thinking about it kind of in these different veins, if you will, of like, what does it look like for my employees in their personal use? And what does it look like from an AI strategy for our organization and how we should be thinking about where we want to grow and what's some new opportunity we might have with AI? And then what are the different AI tools that make sense for us to add to our tech stack in a way that's actually going to support our organizational strategy overall, not just like, oh, well, that's really cool and looks fun and I want to have it too. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I get it. It's easy and fun to explore with new AI tools. And if we're leading our teams, we want to be strategic about what we're adding in, because we've all been there with kind of the flavor of the day approaches, in whether it's business ideas or, a new path that we're trying to pursue, or even just a new tech stack. I really encourage owners to think about their AI portfolio, if you will, like their different components of their AI tech, really as an integral part of their AI tech stack. But also a part of their processes and how they're kind of changing and reimagining how they might be working in their organization.
So AIR has been bringing people through this fundamentals and training people on AI, training roofing companies and other home services companies on AI currently.
Yep.
And so with some of the companies that have gone through the training, what are some of the practical things that are getting implemented?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our foundations course is really focused on helping expand their use of AI. So if you think about, again, kind of your basic LLM, I always say the word basic and then I feel bad because I'm like, these tools, it's the most powerful, smartest entity I'll ever interact with. And I keep calling it basic. I'm sorry, chat. But just think about your use of tools like ChatGPT or, in the roofing industry, a lot of us use Google products. And so we have Gemini right at our fingertips as well. If you're on Microsoft, you would have Copilot. Yep. So if you're thinking kind of about those most common AI tools that people are utilizing from an LLM standpoint, I really think that starting with identifying how you can expand your use of those tools is a great approach. Yeah. Because they're the largest companies. They're going to find some of these new AI tools that they might bring into their umbrella. Notebook LM is one example that I give. That started not as a Google company. It was its own business. And then it was bought by Google because it was like, this is amazing. Everybody should be using this. We want it to be part of our platform. And so I think for me, that gives a lot of, it allows me to like breathe a little easier to know that I don't always have to be staying up on top of like, what is the most new thing?
The newest tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The next,
yep. Because if it's really good, it'll get acquired.
Google's going to buy it.
Somebody's going to buy it. Yeah, somebody's going to buy it. There's a lot of money.
Microsoft or Google.
Yeah,
is just gonna buy
sure.
It.
They'll just buy it, or maybe even OpenAI, right? Yes. And so, so I think because of that, I really focus on how can we get the most out of these tools that are already at our fingertips. But most of us, I think, when we're just getting started with using an LLM like ChatGPT or Gemini, we kind of treat it like we're used to treating our search bar, right? Like I'm going to come in and I'm just going to ask it some questions and let it give me a response. And that's cool, but AI can do so much more. And so we really focus on expanding use toward things like data analysis, deep research, utilizing it for strategic planning, utilizing it for imagination and creativity. For sure. I mean, I kind of feel like the next step after some of that search exploration is like content generation or copy. So thinking like, oh, how do I refine this email? That's usually kind of the next step I see people take. But you could be using your AI tools in your organization to create personalized professional development plans and like a personalized coach for your employees, all without having to create your own software. Like that can be just with the tool that they're, again, already using. You're just not paying for it for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
From the companies that have gone through the coaching, what are some specific instances or some specific things that they've taken? Like, hey, I saw this company created a notebook LM about for this specific purpose. And what was the outcome of that?
Yeah, one that we love. Actually, you know what? I'll give this example from one of our clients. Just came out of a course this last week. We just wrapped up. They went through our 5th session of our foundations. It's 1 through 5. And in the 5th session, they had just taken, we'll use Notebook LM as an example. They had combined a bunch of their different SOPs and policies into one notebook that they then, from that, generated both an audio overview, so like a podcast for their employees. They generated a video overview. So some, if you're a visual learner and you like to watch YouTube or whatever.
When you say they generated, they pressed a button.
They pressed a button.
It was generated for them, which is crazy.
It's so great.
Let me tell you.
It's
crazy.
It's one of my favorite tools, especially from an organizational standpoint, as somebody who's been a coach and an educator for a long time and is always thinking about talent development. To me, it's a no-brainer to be utilizing a tool like that, where basically you're creating your own repository to then take and allow your employees to learn with it. And so what's amazing is, I asked him, I said, would you have done this before? And he's like, probably not. No. And I asked, how long would it have taken you to pull these resources together to get them to a place where you had something ready to turn over to your employees? And he was like, well, it probably, he said, if I didn't have any interruptions, if I never got interrupted, probably 3 to 4 days. Realistically, then probably more like 3 weeks. And he just said, but the reality is I never would have done it because it wouldn't have executed. No. And then I said, well, how long did it take you after our training to get it done? And he was like, about an hour. Yeah. And really, it was mostly just gathering the different resources he wanted to include and kind of fixing those up, making sure they were fresh. He asked, he did it. I mean, I was so proud of him because he did a great job of even reaching out to his team and just saying, like, what would you want to see in this? What are some really key important pieces in this particular, around this particular topic that should be included from some of his senior level leaders and managers on the team? And so they incorporated that as well. And now they've got this amazing training tool and resource that, again, just wouldn't have existed. They just never would have gotten to it.
I heard you say hours because that seems like a lot of times we think about the replacement of people with AI, right? That people are going to get replaced with AI.
Yeah.
But really, it's a reduction in the amount of hours that you have to work on something. And so the time saving that it's not that, I feel like it's not that you'll even need less people, but everyone can be so much more efficient.
Yes.
What are some examples of some time saving things that you've seen come out of the people that have gone through the training?
Yeah. I mean, pick an area of the business and like every single one, because it's just amazing that like incremental changes that you're making can have a really big impact. So even if you're just cutting something down from, hey, I used to go through, an example that I give all the time is like your emails, for example. You're gone for the weekend or you're gone for vacation and you come back and now you've got, or even the first thing in the morning, most of us sit down and the first thing we do in the morning is we triage our emails, right? And even if that only takes you 20 minutes, let's say, to get through the emails that you have, figure out which ones are important, which ones aren't, identify what you need to do, your follow-up actions, start to write a response to them, let's say about 20 minutes, right? You could be doing that, literally having it already auto-created so that when you show up in the morning, your inbox has already been summarized, prioritized, a checklist has been created for you. And that can happen on scheduled on a routine basis for you. You can filter and say like, make sure all of Jim's emails go to the top of my email list. And so there's just so much personalization and customization to get that gain. And so if you think about it, now I've gone from 20 minutes to instant, right? To instant. So now maybe that interaction takes 5 minutes because I'm following up on my tasks or whatever. Well, that 15 minutes every single day accumulates.
Every single day.
Every single day. And so but like you got to think about then if I'm doing this with my time, if I'm going down and I've gone from 20 minutes down to 5 minutes, not only did I save time, I've now got 15 minutes back that I could be putting towards something else. And so if I'm using AI in how I do that next task, there's a compounding effect here, right? And so it's just so powerful. I mean, we've seen already reports back that have said that small businesses that are utilizing AI are seeing 40% productivity gains. 40%. And that's just, again, kind of scratching the tip of the iceberg. When you also think about, I think I think it's about a 12% of people report actually being trained on how to use AI. And so
for a 40% gain with no one even being trained. Like, no one even knows how to really use this or implement this into their businesses. It's not structured. It's not, it hasn't been laid out in SOP like, hey, this is how we're going to implement AI. And so
they're just playing with it and getting 40% gains.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So how does, in your opinion, like, or from what you're seeing, like, how does that fit into the context of the economy today? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, there was we had the COVID boom. It was like everything was going crazy. Everyone was busy.
Yeah.
Starting to slow from that. The economy is shifting.
Yeah.
Is this the right time to be implementing AI and getting those gains? Like, I think about how much more people can do with what they already have. Yeah.
100%. I mean, Jim, I know a lot of the clients that I talk to on the refinery side, kind of the HR strategic coaching side of my business, we see a lot of organizations that we work with seeing a decrease in their inbound leads. And now I would say that may actually have some to do with the shift in how people are using LLMs, right? Like your website may be not showing up the way that it used to in a search function if most people are shifting their search away from a typical Google or some type of browser like that to an LLM. So that could have some play to do with it. But in general, like we are seeing the economy being more challenging for a lot of people in our industry, and it's having a big impact. And when I think about that fact, then we're all kind of trying to do more with less.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you want to do more with less, why wouldn't you use a tool that's built to help you do more?
Yes.
And I would say also, as you're thinking about quality and personalization and customization, when your leads are fewer, you really need to treat them with extra care. If you think about what we see a lot of our owners do, right? Oh, I only have a few leads. They're only going to my best people, right? Because I can entrust them with this like scarcity that we have. And so being able to make sure that each of those leads is handled exceptionally well with an over customization and over personalization that's like, wow, you just knew me.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be utilizing AI to do that, to make them more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that we learned at Roofer Marketers, which is now Job Nimbus Marketing, is of all of the leads that we generated for contractors, 40% went unanswered or unresponded to.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So now with the implementation of AI, just closing that gap, right?
Yeah.
Getting an extra 40% leads, right?
Yeah.
It would almost double their lead flow.
Yeah.
By just putting in very basic practices around and automations using AI to make sure that lead is contacted or the phone call is answered or a question gets answered. So all of these changes are going to, like, this is really going to make a big impact in everyone's business. And I like that the way that you put it is small wins are going to compound.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can take that 15 minutes, just get 15 minutes back from looking at your emails in the morning. If your production manager could get a half an hour back somewhere, your marketing person gets an hour back somewhere. All of this, all of this really adds up into a much more efficient team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that more, I mean, it's just more will get done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, and it becomes so much easier. Like the example of the owner that was like, I would have never done this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have never built this.
Yep.
It would have been too big of an undertaking to do. So as we go through this series, this is a series that we're doing on AI and implementing it for your roofing and home services businesses. If you're not implementing or experimenting with AI, you'll really want to tune in and go through the lessons that we're teaching. If you are using AI, I bet you're feeling behind already.
Yeah.
Because everyone that I know, like, I feel overwhelmed with it every day, and I am in it every day.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we're going to be decoding some of the things. We're going to be laying out some game plans and SOPs that you can take and execute in your roofing business, in your home services business. And really, the good news is, like you said, is you can start small.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Start small steps, implement one thing. We're going to try to demystify some of the tools for you. There's going to be a lot of shiny object syndrome going on in this AI race, and some things are going to work and some things aren't, and some things are going to work the way you want them to, and some things are not going to work the way you want them to. So as we continue on here, we're going to be moving into an AI strategy blueprint. We're going to be reimagining your org chart. We're going to be moving through AI math and how to develop your AI math and how to make sure that you're getting an ROI from your efforts. And we're going to get into what is more your favorite thing. I'm like, let's just let loose on this. You're like, the governance and security of your data, protecting your company's information while you're doing this. Like, if you're just letting your employees right now use ChatGPT, you're going to have a hard time. That information is getting out. And we really hope to get you ready for this, to AI, to future-proof your business.
Yeah.
And give you the tools necessary, right?
Yeah, 100%, Jim. I mean, when I started AI Roofing Revolution, that was really my heart, is I just was able to see that as somebody who's, looked under the hood of literally hundreds of organizations in our industry and have watched how they operate. To me, it was just such a no-brainer that this was going to really change the game. And I really felt like, for my clients' sakes, it's so important to be able to help roofing owners and small business owners be able to adopt these tools for their businesses, or they're just not going to survive. That is the reality. And I don't mean that as a scare tactic, but I mean that with a sense of urgency that, like, in the next 12 months, you really do need to prioritize this. And so, as we're getting toward the end of 2025, people should be thinking about, what is my 2026 plan going to look like, and how am I implementing and adding AI? And so we really wanted to kind of come together and be able to give people the game plan to help them start to lay that out so they can have success. Because I really want to see our industry, and it'll always evolve and change, but like the heartbeat of who we are and how we all kind of operate. We're all a little Wild West, which I love. And so I just really want to be able to see us thrive and continue to succeed.
AI will expose your weakest process first. Do you know what it is or how to fix it? Today, we're going to talk about how to develop your AI strategic blueprint and align your tech with your business plan.
Yes.
So we're moving on in this series. Hopefully you watched the introductory video about how we kind of the overview of AI and how it's going to impact your roofing and home services business. Now we're getting into it.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the details, the how-to. So get a pen out, listen closely, because this is going to change your roofing business. This one episode, getting a strategic blueprint for your company. Roz.
Hi. Thanks for having me back, Jim.
Yeah, awesome. What does an AI strategy look like?
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, before you're even thinking about your AI strategy, you should really have a good business strategy.
Huh.
Quite the concept, right? Yep.
Good
yep.
concept. Yeah.
Yep. And I think this is important because really your AI strategy shouldn't stand alone. So a really good AI strategy complements your business strategy and it helps you move the needle toward achieving that business strategy. And ideally, it shortens your time on that business strategy. So maybe your strategic plan was one that you originally envisioned for 2 or 3 years out. What if we used AI to shrink that down to a year and a half, right? So that's what I would be thinking about as we're thinking about our AI strategy. We're coming up with the plan that's going to complement our overall vision that we have for our business.
Okay. Let's go back a step then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what are the things that they should do to have an effective business strategy?
Yeah, well, if I'm thinking about a business strategy, the first thing I should start with is really casting my vision. So where do I want to go as an organization? I think it's really important as an organization to make sure that your vision actually aligns with you and what you want for your organization as kind of your core leadership team. The reason I say this is a lot of times it's easy to get into that kind of compare mode where we see another organization, we see them succeeding, we've seen how they've built their business and it's like, oh man, that looks so great. I really want that, But the reality is like that lifestyle and how they're operating may not be what you actually envision for yourself. Or maybe you don't even need to get to that size in order to achieve the real dreams that you have for yourself. And so I think really starting with understanding what your true motivations and desires and expectations are for your business is a really great place to align your vision.
Okay.
And then from there, you should be breaking that down into, okay, well, what do I need to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years? And then you can kind of simplify and say, like, what am I doing on a year-to-year basis to work toward that vision of growth that I want to have?
All right. What is something that a company can do to kind of get to that outcome?
Yeah.
Is there a process or a tool or something like that they could use?
Yeah. I mean, I love working through a SWOT analysis. It's a great process to kind of go through and understand what are your business's strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. For me, I think starting there can be a great way to kind of see what levers can you pull?
Okay.
Right? What levers could I pull to have more success? And again, I would also say layering into that kind of the revenue or financial picture that needs to happen on an annual basis and kind of, I like to reverse engineer for my clients. And so a lot of times we'll work toward, okay, what's the goal that you want to have? How do we walk it backward and break it into smaller chunks? We're not going to eat the entire elephant, but what are the strategic initiatives that are going to actually help us have success toward those outcomes that we want, usually some type of revenue, usually some type of culture or, vision for the company, how it will take shape and what it will look like, what it will feel like for your employees. And then again, maybe how that's going to look like from an expansion and services standpoint. What will that mean for your customers? So thinking about your internal customers and your external customers and how that's going to kind of come to fruition.
I mean, I've known about SWOT analysis and done them over the years in a lot of ways. I never thought about it in terms of implementing AI.
Yeah.
Right. So let's break that down. Let's start with conducting an AI SWOT analysis maybe and help everyone let's get them the ability to do this on their own.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So starting with the SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So starting with your strengths. If you've already done that practice of breaking it down for your organization, you can now look at those strengths that you have and start to layer in where AI could help you amplify those strengths, right? So we want to enhance them. We want to make them even better. So let's say you've really focused on your craft and your craftsmanship. So you deliver a really high quality experience for your customers. You make sure that you provide, top tier products etc., work with the best subs in the industry, whatever. If you're really focused on that quality, you could be utilizing AI to make sure that your quality is getting even better, and where and how might you lean into that. Or maybe you're really customer focused on a customer experience. I think about a client that I've had in the past where they give all of their new clients maple syrup as just part of their brand. It's really sweet. It kind of aligns with who they are. But they're really thinking about those extra touches that make that customer experience even better. And so if you're already really leaned into that area of business, okay, great. Let's use AI to continue to customize and personalize your approach in that customer experience. And so, I would really start with, what are your strengths? What are you doing really well as a business? And then how can you use AI to amplify that?
Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors. Roofers, let's get real. You're great at building roofs, but are you great at building a steady stream of leads? That's where Job Nimbus Marketing comes in. They know the roofing industry inside and out, and they'll help you dominate Google, Facebook, reputation management, and everything in between. If you want more quality leads, more booked jobs, and more growth, visit the link in the description or the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos, or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today. If you and your team aren't trained on AI yet, you're already falling behind. Competitors using AI are generating more leads, closing jobs faster, and running leaner. The AI roofing revolution gives your team the training to implement AI so you stay ahead, not scramble to catch up. Don't wait until you're losing. Get trained now at the link in the description or the sponsors page of the Roofing Success Podcast website.
Now,
For someone that doesn't know their strengths.
yeah.
'Cause let's just be honest.
Sure.
A lot of business owners, we just get busy, man. We're just
Yeah.
we're in it so much that we
Yeah.
haven't sat down and thought about what are our strengths.
Yeah.
What's a good way to determine the strengths of their business?
Yeah, if you're doing any type of reviews, a lot of us in our industry, we do utilize like Google reviews, et cetera. You could actually be utilizing AI to review your reviews and search out certain keywords, like providing it, say, hey, look at my website, look at my customer reviews, and tell me what are the strengths that seem to rise out, right?
Yeah.
What do my customers say about why they keep coming back? And that's the question I like to ask is like, why do people choose me over somebody else?
Yeah.
What makes me special? What's my unique offering that I have that somebody else doesn't have?
I think that's really cool. So this is what you could do. What she's saying is go copy and paste your Google reviews.
Yep.
And put them into like ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok, whichever one, depends on how you want to be spoken to.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Put them into the LLM of your choice. And what would you write as a prompt
Yeah.
in that situation?
Well, it depends on if I were doing a lazy prompt. I could
Okay.
just say like, hey, check out these reviews and tell me what my customers highlight as the reasons to work with me or what makes us exceptional, right? I could do a more detailed prompt where I could tell the LLM, you are an expert marketer and competitive analysis agent, and go through these reviews and identify which elements of this within these reviews are going to have the biggest impact or talked about, are trending the most in my industry. with my customers and help bring those out so that I can take them and use them to amplify my pitch for what our unique value proposition is.
Yeah.
So maybe going a little more detailed, giving, we always kind of talk about this concept of like role, task, context, and goal. And so by giving your LLM an understanding of what is its role, what's the job it's trying to do, what's the task, what do you want it to complete, what's the context, like tell it more about yourself, about your business, about whatever, and that'll help your industry, for example. That'll help just kind of go from a whole world of information and knowledge and shrink it into being a little more focused, right? And then the goal, what's the end outcome that you want to see from that? That would be how I'd up the prompt a little bit better.
Yeah. You could probably tell it you're doing a SWOT analysis.
100%. Yes, absolutely. Great tip, Jim. Yes, I love that. Yeah, that would be really helpful context.
So now they have their strengths.
Yep.
Now they have to find their weaknesses.
Yeah. I think a lot of us actually know our weaknesses, and sometimes it's, that's probably one that feels a little bit more glaring for a lot of us, right? And so I would practice self-honesty. It's okay because every organization has weaknesses, and we should all be working toward continuous improvement, right? And so now I'm going to use AI once I've started to identify like, maybe we're just really tapped on customer support. Like we've got a big flow and we have a hard time responding as quickly as we would like to, right? Or, hey, our quality has been down a little bit as we've been working to get some continuity between our subcontractors, or, our employees aren't very well trained because we have a lot of turn each season, or we bring on a lot of new people each season, and we really haven't had time to do the training the way that we would like to, right? I think these are, we kind of feel within our body those places, those spaces that keep us up at night that, oh, I just wish this was better in my business. Those are probably your weaknesses, if I'm being honest, right? And so now when we're layering in AI for that, we really want to try to support those areas with AI, especially through AI automation, if we can. So let's talk about the training one, because I think that's a lot of us, right? We wish we had more time to document our processes. We wish we had more time to pull together training resources. Well, now with AI, we can utilize those tools to have an on-demand coach available with really not that much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really develop, I was just thinking as you're saying that, like you could really just develop every single, you could develop a full training manual.
Yeah.
You could just, if with a good prompt, you could probably just have it write a full training manual for you with every SOP for every role in your roofing business.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't even take that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you could take that and make a notebook LLM out of it that your team can utilize. And it's fascinating how fast you can get things done nowadays.
Right. And so maybe I'll use the example too, Jim, like we talked about the training piece, but like talking about the subcontractors, right? Like, oh, we just haven't had consistency.
Yeah.
You can be utilizing AI to help source and grade and score your subcontractors, so you have a better idea of what you want to communicate and ask for from them. Like, again, a lot of us, we use kind of those gut feelings of like, oh, well, I know this one is doing a great job and I know this one is underperforming, but having the details as to like what specifically would you like to see them improving on?
So maybe having the metrics first, right? What metrics? What metrics are you measuring your subcontractors with on a job-to-job basis, and then taking that data and feeding it through AI. To score it.
To help you score.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And if you don't even know, well, what metrics should I be using? Asking AI to help you generate those metrics or create that scorecard, right? So now we're taking our weaknesses that we have and we're starting to support them through AI tools.
On to opportunities.
Yeah. So when we're talking about our strengths and weaknesses, those are really internally focused within our organizations. We're thinking about like, what does our organization do well? Where do we have some opportunity to improve? When we move into opportunities and threats, now we're looking externally outside of our organization. So as I start to think about, things like the economy or our industry or our customer base, those are going to be our external opportunities and threats. So with our opportunities, we might be thinking about, when it comes to AI, are there new AI opportunities to help us with expansion, or is there some type of new tool that we could be layering in to, increase our revenue, to respond to some type of external, need. So maybe an example that I'll give of this is right now, our world is kind of learning a new way to buy, a new way to interact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about in the first episode, all of these software companies adding in chatbots,
Yes.
right? And so people are starting to get more conditioned to interacting with some type of like AI voice or an AI agent. And so you can kind of use that knowledge to say like, oh, well, that's an opportunity for me as, outside of my organization, the environment is changing. How could I be responding to that within my organization and kind of leaning into that opportunity?
Yep. And
Yeah.
then threats. The threat is AI. So, Roz, what do we do there?
Yeah.
The opportunity and the threat is
It really
AI.
is, for sure. Yeah, I think it's very real, Jim. Like, we laugh about it, but
Yeah.
it is not untrue that the companies that are resistant to change, resistant to AI, that they are going to have a negative impact in their organizations. You're just going to see your competitors thriving because they're going to adopt and you're not, and you're going to be left behind. And that's unfortunate, but that really is a very real threat, right?
It's a real threat.
Yeah,
And it's moving fast.
right.
So,
It is. Another threat that we talked about in the last episode was an example of the economy, right? Like,
Yes.
as the economy changes or your consumer buyer patterns change, those can pose threats to us that we're not really in control of. But again, we could be utilizing AI to kind of be able to respond to those threats in a way that maybe our business hadn't been able to in the past.
we have our strengths, or we've looked at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats. Now, how do we take that and use that information?
Yeah. So I would take that information, and again, I would kind of work it backwards, right? I would start to identify, now you've got kind of a list of idea generation, some pieces that are maybe for today and, this year, your 2026, maybe some of them are a little more long-term, especially probably in that opportunity area. Adding AI infrastructure to your business, new AI tools, new AI offerings shouldn't be something that you're just doing in a blink of an eye without really understanding or making shifts within your organization on more of the simple level, process level first. And so I would really encourage people to be very wise in how they're approaching those opportunities, making sure they're working with professionals who really do understand the technology. There's a lot of vibe coding. In fact, actually, it was just named Collins Dictionary's word of the year is vibe coding. And so there are a lot of people out there making some really cool proof of concept AI tools right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're production ready, meaning that you should have them be customer facing or that they're ready to deploy with consistency or reliability. And so I think really making sure that when you're thinking about those opportunities, you're strategic in how you go about them. Maybe that's a little later in your plan, right? But going through and kind of looking at your list that you've created with your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and identifying what's the low-hanging fruit? What could we be doing right now that's not a huge lift to start to implement and make those steps? And then what are some of those things that we want to get to with time as we continue to grow in our knowledge and understanding of AI tools?
And I know we're going to go into this a lot more deeply and probably around the AI math episode that we're going to be doing around setting goals, tracking ROI, and measuring the progress of these types of things. But you have to, I guess what I'm hearing from you is mapping everything out. Right?
Yeah.
You have to know where you're going.
Yep.
Right? Know where you're going, find that future, see where you want to implement these things around the things like using that SWOT analysis, right?
Yep.
Around your strengths, around your weaknesses, around the opportunities that are external to you and the threats that are external to you.
Yeah.
And I want to, you had mentioned like some tools and things like that. Like people are you could go really deep, really fast and get down some rabbit holes. Right? Like,
yes.
There's some new additions to like the Google Maps API or the Google Maps right now.
Yeah.
In terms of like it'll measure reflectivity of roofs. It'll do like there's some really, really crazy stuff. And so
Yeah.
but it takes that person to identify, ooh, this is what AI is doing. There's a business function here, but I need to know how it'll fit in to my business. And I think that's a core thing that we're talking about today is identify your business and where AI can really fit in and enhance
100%.
what you're doing.
Yeah. And Jim, I mean, like, I love the litmus test of, does this fit with my overall business strategy? Like, come back to that. If it doesn't support your long-term goals and vision and direction, sure, like you can say, well, maybe I've got new goals and a new direction, and
right.
that's fine up to a certain point. Your employees can only handle so many pivots, and the success of that plan is your commitment to it. Right. And so you really should be looking at, like there's a lot of great ideas. I kind of say, I use this example of like, as you start to learn AI, it's that age old analogy when you're holding the hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yes.
But, if I spend 4 weeks implementing an AI process that only saves me 12 minutes of time, like, is that really worth it, right? Yeah. And so finding and identifying those places that are going to really give you the ROI, I think really matters. And then again, like not just ROI. ROI for what? Does it move you toward what you are trying to achieve as a business? Does it align with your unique value proposition? Does it align with who you are and how you want to move through the world? Coming back to that, company, if your unique value proposition is that you've been very customer centric and now you've shifted to just all AI chatbots and there's never a human in the loop and there's no people interaction, well, now you've just gone in a very different direction from your brand.
Yeah.
And so is that going to resonate with your client base? It might not. And so you need to really be thinking strategically about those choices.
Definitely.
If you don't think about how AI and your team work together, AI is going to make that decision for you. And that's already happening. Right now, most business owners feel pressure from one side. If I don't implement AI, I'm going to fall behind. And that's true. If you're not already thinking about AI in your business, you will fall behind. There's another side to this conversation that almost no one is addressing. Your people. They're hearing the headlines. They're seeing the news. They're wondering what this means for their jobs. So while leaders are thinking about speed and efficiency, employees are thinking about security and survival. The tension is real, and when it's not addressed, fear fills the gap. This is why AI isn't just a technology problem. It's an org chart problem. It's a leadership problem. And it's a change management problem. Before we talk about tools or automation or efficiency, we need to start with one thing. The biggest misconception leaders have when they hear the phrase AI-powered organization. My name is Jim Aline. I'm the host of the Roofing Success Podcast, and I'm back again with Rosalynn Verges of the AI Roofing Revolution.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. Definitely an area that's near and dear to my heart.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. HR and people are like
kind of my jam.
It's your jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you love process and you love people, and then now you think about how AI reimagines that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found my sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So this is what excites you, right? Like these are the things that excite you, and how to integrate the two things together. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge over the coming years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of fear from the business ownership level of. And if I don't implement AI, I'm going to fall behind, as we've already talked about. You will fall behind if you're not implementing AI in your business already. But then there's this other part of it, and it's the it's on the news.
Yeah.
It's the job loss that's coming, and will AI replace the people? And so your people, your team, that's their concern, right? There's a big threat. We talked about a SWOT analysis on the last one. That's their threat, right?
Yep.
Like there is a big threat for them. And so,
Yeah.
I know that you throughout the years have focused on change management and really getting that right. And this accelerates that in a lot of ways. And so let's start off with, kind of identifying automation opportunities, but without losing the human element.
Yeah, Jim. And I love what you're saying, because I think, as we talk about this concept of reimagining the organization, I think for some, our mindset goes to like, oh, we just don't need employees anymore. We're going to just I'm going to shed everything. And then for employees, like the reason they have that fear is because it's not being talked about from their leadership. I think we talked about in a previous episode that only like 12% of people are getting trained on how to use AI.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that organizations probably aren't directly speaking to their employees about how they see them being a part of the future of the organization. And so if you're not casting them into your future vision, we talked about the strategic planning and that vision that you have for your company. If you're not casting your employees into that vision, well, then they have every reason to be concerned, right? And if you're not, and then if you're not communicating that vision to your employees, they're left to fill in those gaps. And I think a lot of times we do replace that empty space with fear and uncertainty, even if we maybe feel like things are good and we are like, oh, they'd probably never do anything like that. There's still that maybe. And that's a yucky feeling for employees. And so I think there's just so much opportunity for us to get ahead of that conversation by being diligent in starting with that reimagination step. Because if we do that, then we have a better understanding as organizations for what that vision looks like. I think a lot of times right now, it's like, well, how can I cast that vision? I don't even know. I don't even know what that means. But the reason I love this topic is I spent a lot of my career helping organizations document their processes and then how their people fit into those processes, right? An exercise that we call role mapping. I've done for hundreds of organizations, right? Where we've gone through it, we've identified like who in your organization is responsible for what in your organization. How does your organization function? And what needs to happen in order for those things to get done, right? And it's people. You usually need the people aligned to those processes and those responsibilities in order to make that outcome happen. And so when we're talking about this concept of reimagining the organization, that's what we're talking about, is we're talking about looking at your processes. And one of the ways we talk about it on the AI roofing revolution side of things is looking for those AI enhancements, right? What can we do to enhance these roles and responsibilities, these duties that our teams have in order to get that AI lift? And I always say to kind of give them time back. I think for a lot of us in our organizations, we've had these very long someday lists, right? I call it my someday list. Someday I'm going to get to that. I wish I was doing this. Oh, I just wish I had more time for that. Until you get to a place where you have nothing on your someday list, you shouldn't be thinking about cutting your employees, right? You should be thinking about how are you going to get through that someday list and then go ahead and start deciding, do I need this employee? Do I not need this employee, right? But first, I would start with utilizing our employees to help us improve our processes. Because ideally, if you've been a leader of an organization that has multiple employees for a while now, the reality is that you probably don't have a very close pulse on every step of that process anymore, right? And so are you the best person to identify where AI enhancements can come from? Or could you be empowering your employees to help you identify those enhancements and help you bring about that change so that they are this human-centric part of that vision of integrating AI into your business strategy?
Yeah, bringing them into the loop. Now, people might that are listening might think, well, yeah, that's easy when you have 20 employees or 50 employees or 1,000 employees.
Yeah.
Right. But there's 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
Like this is our org chart is 3 of us, right? Like,
Right.
Like how do you think about it in that? Like I always, I'm a big fan of EOS and the accountability chart. And so, we're sitting in a lot of seats.
Yes. Which is why I love thinking about it more in terms of duties.
Got it.
Because
that's the seat.
That's the seat analogy. Yep. Because the reality, exactly. Like whether you're a company of 12, 2, or 200, the things that need to happen in order for your business to run effectively are pretty consistent, right? And I would say that's true whether you're selling roofs or popsicles or, whatever. Most of us have some type of marketing we're responsible. Most of us have some type of sales that we're, sales elements we're responsible, production elements we're responsible, customer service elements that we're responsible for, some type of finance and accounting has to happen. Hopefully you're, doing your AR and your AP, whether you're 2 people, 1 person, or 200, right? And then again, each of these departments, there's opportunities to find AI enhancements within each of those areas. And so totally agree. But I would also say sometimes a little easier when you have a smaller team, because again, you are all a little closer to understanding how the entire, how it gets made. Right.
Definitely.
And so it can provide for that continuity if you have a smaller team. And if you have a larger team, it can probably provide for some of that specialization within it. And you might get really micro enhancements in your AI, but each person is kind of moving the dial across those things.
In this process, I think the step that gets skipped is documenting the processes, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a larger organization, maybe a lot of processes have already been documented, and you're working from there.
Yeah.
But in a smaller organization, a lot of times the processes have not even been documented.
Yeah.
For each of those roles.
Yeah.
So where do they go with that? How do they start with that? What's the process?
Yeah. Pro tip, you can use AI,
yes.
Jim. You can actually be utilizing AI to document your processes. I mean, one of the ways we talk about this in our AI Foundations course is we talk about utilizing transcripts. I love the ability to just turn on a camera, talk about what I'm going through, what the steps are. I can walk through it. I can record screen, right? Even if you have access to something like Zoom or Google Meet. If I have that companion turned on that's recording my transcript, now I can be recording my video. I can have the transcript running as I'm going. And now my process is documented. Yeah. I just did this example in an AI Foundations class this week where I verbally talked through. So you can turn on the dictation feature of your LLM. And I verbally talked through how we care for the chickens at our house, right? And it was just this long litany of me, blah, blah, blah. I went through, I took out some yap parts, and then I submitted it to my LLM and asked it to put it into a step-by-step process for me. It gave me the purpose, it gave me the scope, and then it gave me a step-by-step. And it was done for me, just like that.
And it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So now, where does like role mapping come into play between like the AI augmentation, like using agents and the people?
Yeah, I think if you have a really good understanding of who is responsible for what in your organization, you can start to identify the tasks, responsibilities that are highly repetitive, highly administrative, tasks that AI gets right really well.
Yeah.
So, we talked about in the first episode, kind of some of those AI buckets that we teach around in the AI Foundation, things like how to use AI for data analysis and how to use AI to do deep research and how to use AI to do copywriting. There's different tweaks in how we utilize our AI tools to get more out of them for each of these different ways. Again, I can just throw in a quick lazy prompt, or I can have a really nice, rich prompt that's going to give me the outcome that I'm looking for, right? And so if I understand what AI is really good at, now I can look at my list of roles and responsibilities and I can say, oh, well, this duty is highly repetitive. This duty actually fits really great at, it aligns really well with what AI is really good at. And so let's maybe hand that off to either an AI agent or an AI automation, or even just a simple recurring AI tool that is running again and again on a schedule.
What is AI good at?
Yeah, well, I listed some of our buckets.
Not?
Yeah.
So
right. What is it not good at? It's not very human yet. It's getting more human. But I think, there was Moderna had gone through, this was in the news, that they laid off a ton of people on their customer service side of their business in order to replace them all with AI. And they were able to do it, right? Like AI physically could do every step of the process. But what they found is that customers really wanted the choice. They wanted the option, right? I think about in my dynamic in my home, my husband wants that robot all day long. Give me that chatbot. He's in for it. He loves that not having to talk to a person.
Yes.
I get on the phone with customer service representative. How can I hit that 0 enough times until I can talk to a person? And so what they found is people just want the choice. They want to get to opt into a human or opt into some type of AI tool. And so they ended up actually recalling some customer service staff, and AI took over every other part of the process except for that human interaction. And so really, as we're looking at our processes, we should be identifying those places where it's really important to stay human-centric. And I would also say we really need to be looking for those opportunities that need to be, or those moments in the process that require human in the loop. And so what I mean by human in the loop is this concept that you need, before the AI automation or the agent or whatever tool you're using, before it moves on, a human needs to visually intercede, right? Or visually, verbally, whatever, have some type of interaction with that content, and it approves it. It says yes before it moves forward, right? And so that's this concept of human in the loop, which is super important when we're talking about, we use the word AI hygiene in our organization a lot. And what that means is we're looking for hallucinations. We're keeping it clean, right? If we think about hygiene, you want your AI to be clean, your results to be clean, your output to be clean. Again, a lot of our tools, when we're talking about generative AI, it's common for them after a certain number of times of doing something to have a breakdown.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure, since they're not 100% reliable all of the time, that we're identifying where in the process is it really important that we have someone intervening and doing a quality check and inspection, right, before it moves on to that next step.
And I think that's really what we're talking about today in Reimagining Your Org Chart. That ability of AI and humans working together is where the power is. Like on the AI voice side, from some of the stuff we're building, we're looking at a new tool or a new API that we can add in, and it's a human in the loop. While someone is on the phone with AI, if there's any struggles, like AI has a terrible time with email addresses.
Sure.
From voice AI. Right? If it's not typed in, it has a terrible time with addresses, email addresses, names, sometimes things like that. And there's a platform that we just found that essentially a function can get called and that can get kicked over to a human for validation quick and sent back to the AI fully validated by a human, because there's still a gap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think anytime you want to just like protect the quality, protect the output, especially if it's customer facing, anything that you need to do that for, you should really be considering how you will be doing that human in the loop interaction. So I love that they're continuing to create more tools that do that handoff.
I think it's going to become more and more popular, because I agree. People don't know what it's capable and not capable of yet. Yeah. Right. And so, and we've had this conversation, like with Power Up Agents, with the voice AI that we're building. It's like, my goal is to build the most helpful, not the most human, like the most helpful. And I feel like that's helpful.
Yeah.
Handing off to a person sometimes that's a helpful thing. So
Yeah.
that interaction between the two is really where a lot of the benefit is going to come.
Yeah.
Because there's an exponential curve to it.
Yeah.
In productivity.
Yeah.
When you utilize what AI is good at, add a human in for what it's not good at, and then those humans are spending their time very wisely and solving bigger problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and especially, Jim, I think as our world does move toward AI adoption, people are, my son and I kind of play this game of like, is that AI or is it not? Yeah. Like when you're looking at images or videos that are generated, general content, right? It's like becoming hard to tell. I did a really fun kind of test with Nano Banana or Gemini's Image Flash 2.5 when that came out. And I took a picture of our shed. We were, getting it all situated. And I had these chairs that I had found, at Home Furniture. And then I had the space, and I had a picture of the chairs and a rug. And then I took this picture and my dog's laying in the front of it. And I fed it into Nano Banana and asked it to place that furniture.
Yeah.
And then I ended up buying those chairs, and I went back and I took the same shot. I mean, it is hard to tell. The scale is a little bit different if you're looking closely and But if I wouldn't have told you, you would have totally thought it was the same picture. I had just pulled the tape off the floor. They looked at that close. And so I think as the blur between AI generated and real becomes harder to tell. People are going to crave real. They're going to crave the human. They're going to crave that interpersonal connection. And so as you're thinking about your organizations and how you're adopting AI, I would really encourage you to think about that as your lens of where are those moments that we're creating in our customer journey, in our employee journey, that are authentic, that are real, that feel meaningful, and really give people something that they can hold on to.
I think so. Now we're where this is going, it makes me think of I don't know if everyone can be in charge of this. Right? If everyone in your organization is in charge of helping to develop this. So are there new roles that you see that may need to be created in the age of AI? Yeah,
I do think there will be new roles that will come out of this. One thing that I would say is there's this balance, just like in our organization. I think it's the same as other initiatives. And what people sometimes forget when we're talking about AI training and AI adoption is that at the heart of what you're trying to do is you're asking people to change behaviors. You're asking them to take a process the way that they've always done it and now do it a different way, right? And for any of us who have tried adopting or implementing a new CRM, tell me how that goes.
Yeah.
Or you changed your sales process and you want your team to follow it. Tell me how that goes, right? It takes time for us to change behaviors, to make a behavioral shift. And if you think about the diffusion of innovation, which is it's a bell curve, people are adopting change at different rates within your organization. So you're going to have some people that are going to be really early adopters. They're going to be on board. And then you're going to have your laggards that you're like, oh my goodness, are we ever going to start doing the thing? And so coming back to kind of this change management concept, right? As a leader in the organization, it is your responsibility to work your employees through those various stages of change to manage the change adoption within your organization. And so sometimes we hear, I was at this great AI event, and somebody stood up and they're like, I'm our organization's new AI champion, and I'm supposed to figure it all out. I was like, oh my goodness, this poor person. I'm so sorry. So what it should not be, your AI strategy should not fall onto one person. Yeah. And AI adoption in your company should not fall onto the shoulders of one person. Just like any change in your organization, leading the way, the vision for that, the strategy, the reinforcement and accountability, that should always come from your leadership team. you are the one as an owner, as a leadership team who needs to provide that direction, right? You need to provide the how, the what, the banks of the river. A lot of times we talk about, right? Like you can navigate anywhere within the banks, but you need to stay within the banks of the river. And so that organizationally is the responsibility of the leadership. Having an AI champion, though, who can kind of be that intermediary is really smart, right?
Yeah.
But you can't put the strategy,
Yeah.
the approval of like, yes, we're doing this, or no, we're not doing that on the shoulders of one AI champion. I would really think of your AI champion more as like a project management, like somebody with really good project management skills. And a passion for understanding AI is somebody who I would look at as kind of nominating as our internal AI champion, someone who's really good at helping people prioritize and deploying resources. They're going to be that kind of liaison between your everyday individual contributors. And then, again, this is where I would say you want to empower your employees to understand where and how they can be using AI, where you want to see them find those efficiencies, and, maybe where you're not. One of the things that we love to encourage teams that are adopting AI to do is start to implement this as part of your your meetings, right? And you don't need to have a separate meeting. We're doing too many meetings, folks. Less meetings, right? But if you do an L10 or you do some type of weekly meeting with your team where you're looking at metrics and you're talking about what's working in your business and, what's not working as you're working toward your strategic planning goals, which you should be. You should be doing some type of meeting like that where you're talking about your measurements, right? As a layer of that, if you've developed your AI strategy, now you can be having that kind of be the metrics within your meeting to say, like, are we on pace? Are we adopting the things that we want to be adopting? And so if your employees understand where and how they're a part of that vision, they can individually be making strides. Just like, again, anything else we would do in our organization. It's the same principles. We always say, like, it's age-old business wisdom combined with cutting-edge technology.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about documenting processes. We talked about understanding the change in your org chart and how the human and probably the best solution is human and AI together.
Yeah.
Not just AI, not just humans. To getting that blend. So doing proper role mapping, understanding your processes like we talked about, keeping humans in control of the quality, maybe developing like a role that that's an AI champion, that's more of a project manager, of making sure that AI is being implemented effectively along with your strategy, not as your strategist.
Yep.
And I think that's a great place to move on, because I think we need now to understand that AI math and setting goals, tracking that ROI, measuring progress, something for that AI champion to really grasp onto and take a hold of that. So we'll be doing that in the next episode.
Can't wait.
Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.